It has been said that each preacher has only one sermon, at best maybe 2 or 3. And they preach this one sermon or 2 or 3 sermons again and again. The stories may change, the imagery is different, but the message remains the same. So I thought I would take an informal poll this morning and find out what you think my one sermon is. And it can't be all will be well, you guys. Come on, that's what it's called this morning. So it might be that. But what do you think my one sermon is? Love. Love. Compassion. We're enough. Spiritual practice. Empathy. Hope. What? Friendship. What? Maybe. Wow, I'm glad it took a while to get to that one. It wasn't the first one that came out. Oneness. Is that it? Yeah? Well, that's okay. Then maybe I have more than one sermon. It's all oneness. It's all oneness. There you go. So I decided to do a little of my own survey and looked back at the titles of my sermons over the last 6 or 7 years. And here are a few that I chose that I think talk about some of these key messages that you just brought up. Not one of them has the word donate in it, though. That's good. The Good Enough Dance. Living inside hope. Joy and woe are woven fine. Rational mysticism. Perfection, imperfection, sin, and grace. The first sermon I ever preached to you. So those are the titles that I thought might capture the themes that I am drawn to. Now, I did notice, this actually kind of embarrassed me, that I preached 2 sermons that had the same title, like 3 years apart. Oops. Mystery and Wonder. Of course, that's our first source for Unitarian Universalism, that direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder affirmed by all cultures. I think I'm at home in mystery and wonder. I do not often feel at home in Julian's revelation. I wrestle with her idea that all will be well. I have seen enough of the cruelty and misery of the world to waste my time and yours standing in a pulpit spouting platitudes. A. Powell Davies wrote, "A pulpit is the most intimately lonely place in the world. Yet it is a loneliness that has strength in it." It is a loneliness that has strength in it because a minister needs a congregation, not an audience, to work out and wrestle with the good enough, the meaning of hope, the alarming fact that joy and woe are woven fine, the tension between reason and faith, and the need to be open to grace in our perfectionist culture. I had been your minister for maybe 2 or 3 weeks when I said to Frank on one of our nightly phone calls, "These people are intense." And here's what he said back to me. "So are you."
Hallelujah.
It has been a perfect match. And because of our ability to look each other in the eye and see the spirituality of imperfection, none of us expected our relationship to end so abruptly. Yet, all will be well. The congregation is equipped to envision what comes next, and I am humbled by a calling that continues to take me to unexpected places. As I struggled with my decision to leave, a colleague reminded me about Julian's wisdom and introduced me to Meg Barnhouse's musical tribute to that wisdom. Meg is the senior minister at the First Unitarian Church of Austin, and she was quite touched to find out how her song helped carry me during the months that I wrestled with the financial and emotional results of leaving a job that is not really a job. Calling doesn't quite describe it. Maybe partner in the dance. Partner in the good enough dance. Maybe that's the right label for this ministry that we have shared for more than 3 years. I am at my most vulnerable when I stand in the pulpit. I know that many of you remember how I shared with you that it had become a bit of a joke that more than one person would come up to me after the worship service and say, "You really hit that one out of the park," or "another home run." I mentioned this often enough that people started becoming a little bit self-conscious about what they said to me after the worship service. And I do remember, and I've told you this story, that then someone came and you could tell that they were about to say, "You really," and they stopped themselves and they said, "Put a gold star on that one." And then I preached the sermon titled "The Good Enough Dance." And then it was even more awkward after that because people tried to figure out exactly what I meant when I asked you to stop responding to my sermons like Siskel and Ebert. And then people would say, "I don't know, I know you don't like us to say anything after the service, but I just want to say," no. No. So, attempting to fix one awkwardness, I created another one. And that wasn't it exactly. But we figured it out. Eventually, we have become practiced partners in the good enough dance. I have always wanted to invite you into something more. I have always wanted to invite you into something deeper. By sharing my own struggles with good enough, the meaning of hope and grace, the alarming fact that joy and woe are woven fine, and the absurdity that all could possibly be well. I have always wanted to invite you into the shared vulnerability that nurtures our spirits and helps heal the world, that shared vulnerability that is required to do that mission that is painted there. Thank you all for showing up for the dance. I am at my most vulnerable in the pulpit because you are at your most vulnerable when you show up in this sanctuary on a Sunday morning. This is not a performance. I don't need your applause. The ministers who follow me will not need your applause. They will need your presence. Because the work we do as Unitarian Universalists matters. Please keep showing up for the dance. And if you step on your new minister's feet at first. Keep showing up and practicing. I am confident you will be good enough. I am confident all will be well. You may be tempted to think it is easy for Julian, this woman who lived alone, shut off from the cruelty and misery of the world, to declare that all will be well. Scholars who have studied Julian point out that she lived during the worst times, one of the worst times in human history. Bubonic plague ravaged much of Norwich more than once during her lifetime. Cattle disease and bad harvests led to famine, which in turn led to violent social protests. It is important to place Julian in the context of the human suffering she would have witnessed. When she declared, "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well," it was not as a simplistic platitude to ease those she counseled. It was a truth born of struggle. It was a truth wrapped in a love that never ends. So these are not my final words to you, because there'll be a benediction and then a sending forth and then this presentation and all sorts of things that will continue. But I want you to remember these as my last words to you. And perhaps, maybe, this really is the theme that runs through all of my sermons. All will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. May it be so, and amen.
We are the Caneo Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Our mission is to nurture spiritually courageous people who transform the world through justice and compassion. Like us on Facebook, check out our website at CVUUF.org, or come visit us. See you soon!